Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm a relationship and intimacy coach, and today I'm going to talk about a kind of controversial topic, soulmates. Last week I talked about mojo, about the joy of living in full expression. And one of the things I mentioned was how intense it is when you experience a mutual attraction with someone when, in a moment when you were really being authentic. It's a super powerful feeling, and sometimes it feels like you just met your soulmate. The concept of soulmates is so old that a version of it you can actually find in Plato's Symposium. But the term itself wasn't coined until the 1820s when Samuel Taylor Coleridge talked about it as critical to a happy marriage. But if you look into his life a little bit, it turns out he never had a happy relationship, and the closest thing he had to a soulmate was opium. So, what the hell does he know, right? But he was a poet and one of the founders of the Romantic movement. And the Romantics elevated the importance of emotional expression, which may not seem like a big deal today, but back then it was actually a very significant cultural shift. And they were also interested in the power and mystique of nature. So from that emerged this idea that romantic love is very important, and to get it, one must locate this one ideal romantic partner, and that the system of soulmates is inherent to nature. So pretty compelling. These days, there are several different schools of thought. Some people truly believe in one destined soulmate. Some people believe that one can have many soulmates roaming the earth, which is kind of cool because even if a soulmate is one in a million, that's still about 7,800 soulmates per person on the planet. So that feels like good odds. Anyway, and some people believe in soulmates, but they see it as an acquired status. And then some people dismiss the concept altogether. Personally, I have a rather scientific worldview, and I've always considered myself a non believer. But I still have to reconcile that with my actual emotional experiences. So I went on a deep dive looking for the science to explain that feeling of connection so powerful that you truly feel like you're meant to be with each other, because one of the things I'm curious about is the chemistry of chemistry. But that'll have to be a topic for a different time because what I did find was actually a lot more interesting and useful. I stumbled across this study by Professor Raymond Nee at the University of Houston that he did in 2001. And he was looking at how belief systems about the existence of soulmates influences people within relationships, and also how it affects the health and longevity of a relationship. He found that people fall into one of two categories. There's destiny believers and there's growth believers. Destiny believers are thinking, I'm destined to be with one specific person. I have a soulmate with whom I'm meant to be. And when I find this person, our relationship will be happy and enduring. Meanwhile, growth believers are thinking, happy and enduring relationships are cultivated with time and effort. Love can be practiced and it can grow. And eventually, two individuals may become irreplaceable to one another. Destiny believers believe they need to find a relationship. Growth believers believe in building a relationship. But probably the most important difference between these two mindsets is the way that they evaluate their relationships. Destiny believers evaluate their relationships with questions like, wait a minute, am I with the right person? Is there a better fit for me out there? Am I settling for less than my soulmate? Compromise to a destiny believer feels like settling, and problems seem like signals that it might be time to move on and find the right person. With this mindset, someone either is your soulmate or they aren't. Growth believers, on the other hand, evaluate their relationships with questions like, are we a good fit? How can I be a better partner? What can we do to improve this relationship? And there's greater emphasis on adaptability. And problems seem like something to be worked out and learned from. And sometimes there are even cool opportunities to explore new ideas. So the study found that the relationships of growth believers have a much higher likelihood of lasting versus the relationships of destiny believers. So here's the deal. You may think you know what you believe, but it's worth it to closely examine your belief system and how it influences your choices anyway. Myself, for example, at any point in my life, I could have confidently said, I don't believe in soulmates. Of course, my approach to relationships is a growth mindset. These days, that might be mostly true, but looking back, buried deep somewhere was this latent destiny belief that I wasn't fully aware of. And I would meet someone that I really liked, and I would think to myself, like, wow, this person is such a good match for me. But if I was reading between the lines of my own thought process, what I was really thinking was more like, I wasn't having a good time before, and now I'm having a lot more fun than I was previously. So clearly, this relationship will unlock who I really am, and now my happy life can begin finally, now that I've found this missing piece. And then I would try to grow myself to fit the relationship, to prioritize what I felt was good for the relationship over what might have actually been best for me. And I would do this believing that I was doing the opposite. Prioritizing the health of the relationship, it disguised itself as doing the right thing for myself, because of how much I cared and how much I invested, but most of all because of my belief system. I thought I had a growth mindset, but it was my belief that something about this bond was so special that it was critical to my future and to my happiness, and that it was the thing facilitating my own growth as a person. Even though I was working really hard to make myself fit the relationship in order to ensure its survival. And what's really crazy about that is I've come to realize that had I not done that, had I not done that, I wouldn't have lost the relationship. I just wouldn't have lost all that time that I spent not growing, that we spent not growing. And the thing is that, like, the love was totally real, but I was mishandling it because of my own unexamined belief system. So, look, if you believe that your current partner is your soulmate, I'm not trying to take that away from you. You can keep that. You can keep it forever by consciously shifting to a growth mindset. And if you believe in soulmates but you're still looking for yours, stop trying to find them. Instead, find yourself. Step into your mojo, into your full expression, and I promise you'll bump into each other eventually. When you live in full expression, you're investing your time and your energy into the activities and lifestyle elements that resonate with your soul. And when you do that, highly compatible, viable partners just show up in your life. Your life and their life will just naturally intersect like two cogs turning together. And if it feels like fate, there's nothing wrong with that. What that means is your brain and your body are giving you a clue that something really important is happening here and it's worth your attention. And that's how it works. So, what's interesting is that it's not actually finding the right person or meeting the right person that's the hard part. It's becoming the right person. So, if any of that resonates with you and if it's stuff that you'd like to dive into and integrate into your life, reach out to me. You can reach out to me through my website, NicoleNormanCoaching.com, or email me, Nicole@NicoleNormanCoaching.com, and we'll have a relaxed conversation about how coaching can change your life. So you take care, and I look forward to connecting.